This book is amazing. Mwah. Hello my dear friends, how are you doing? It's Kiki, and today I'm going to be reviewing this beautiful book called The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. This was published in 1999, but you might know this book because of the movie. Apparently there's Emma Watson in it. I haven't seen it yet, but I can do it now because I finished the book. When I have two options, either to read the book or to watch the movie, I always choose to read the book first and to watch the movie later. But yeah, I love this book for so many reasons, and I'm going to talk about them. I actually finished it almost 2 weeks ago, but I just waited a bit because I wanted to reflect on the narration and to find different layers of meanings, and so I wanted to make a proper review. So if you were a teenager in the 90s or you were born in the 90s like me, you will definitely enjoy this book. There is also a nice Nirvana reference because this is actually an epistolary novel. That means that it's a collection of letters that the protagonist writes to a friend, and it is set in 1991, more or less, and there is a nice Nirvana reference because obviously Nirvana is still doing concerts and everything, and if you know me, you might know that I love Nirvana, so that was really nice. Actually, the main character, Charlie, is 15, and we basically get to see the world through his eyes. He's an introvert, he's very shy, he can be a little bit awkward, and he has this psychedelic fragments of perception which are really interesting to follow. For some reason I thought about The Catcher in the Rye while I was reading this book. I would constantly feel like this was a sort of remake of The Catcher in the Rye. Even though the story is completely different, it is way more blunt. We see the character experimenting with sex, drugs, alcohol. It's very different from The Catcher in the Rye, but for some reason it really has the same vibe, and I really liked it because I loved, as you know, Holden Caulfield and The Catcher in the Rye. And the nice thing is that inside the book there are so many book recommendations. Charlie is very intelligent, but he's also very anxious all the time, and he has some problems relating with his peers. So a professor, which is a very nice character in this book, gives him a list of books to read, and these books include Catcher in the Rye, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Naked Lunch, The Count of Monte Cristo, and so forth. And this is really nice because it's almost as if literature was talking about itself. It's a meta literature, so you get to enjoy the narration and at the same time be curious about other books, and I really appreciated this. I liked all the characters, but especially the teacher and Charlie's friends, Sam and Patrick. I must say that there are some very delicate topics discussed in this book, and I think the author wanted to add a shock factor to the narration. And this is just my opinion, but I think the narration would have been just as great without that factor, that shocking boom factor. Although it makes sense because it explains why Charlie is the way he is and why Charlie behaves the way he does. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Other than that, I really enjoyed the book. So at one point I got all philosophical because as I was reading The Perks of Being a Wallflower, I was constantly reminded of another book, The Catcher in the Rye, because I liked it so much and because Charlie reminded me of Holden, and just the language reminded me of you know, the language used in The Catcher in the Rye. And I started thinking, what if literature actually talks about the same thing over and over again, just from different points of view and from alternate realities? And I remembered another book by Jorge Luis Borges. I don't know if you know this author, he's Argentinian. And wait, I have it here. And this book is called Fictions, I think. That's the title in English. This is the Italian version. And there is a tiny little essay called Pierre Menard, author of Don Quixote. Don Quixote by Cervantes is one of the main pieces of Spanish literature, and what Pierre Menard does is basically trying to rewrite it, but centuries later. So what he does is basically copies every word, and he works on it, he finishes it after many hours of writing and everything, and then he destroys it. What's the meaning of that? Why writing something word by word exactly as it was and then destroy it? And Borges tells us that if we write the same thing in another time, it's a completely different book. You know what I mean? So what he did was something revolutionary. So he decided to rewrite something, and it didn't change anything, but the meaning was totally different in another time. And that's the sense of literature. And that made me wonder, you know, is literature always telling the same thing? I think books give us a chance to look at ourselves in a mirror and see the world through someone else's eyes and have a shift in our perspective. That's why literature is so important. So through literature we can basically dissect reality and explore different levels of consciousness of other beings. Okay, this is really philosophical and everything, but I do think that literature serves a very important function. That's why I want to tell to any of you who enjoys writing like I do, to keep on doing that and offer your perspective to other people. I'm realizing by making this video that it's not important to write the best book in the whole world or the most meaningful. It's important to write it, because that way you can offer your perspective to others. And this means so much to me. Oh my God. Alright, so let me know if you liked this book, if you didn't like it, and if you know anything similar or something you think I would enjoy, because in the comments you always leave so many titles and everything. I get so curious, and actually last weekend I went to the bookshop and bought some of the books you recommended. So in my next video I'm going to make a to be read list, and right now I'm reading The Book Thief. And I was so busy, so I just didn't have much time to read, but I'm here right now, here. And I'm enjoying this book. But yeah, if you think I would enjoy a particular book, just leave it in the comments. And yeah, I also want to make a list of books I want to reread. So yeah, let me know if you would enjoy that. And thank you so much for watching. I love you all so much. A big kiss and have a wonderful weekend. Bye bye.